Alrighty, good day, good evening, YouTube. This is Hajim Zero here, back with another quick movie review. This one is Resident Evil Apocalypse. Um, Pretty much, let's just dive right in. This picks up directly where the first movie left off in the final scene, where Alice has a shotgun and noticed a virus had escaped into Raccoon City, and I like how they transition it versus what's going to happen with the rest of the sequels, where at one I think right after this one they don't do that transition, and I think this is the only movie that doesn't do it. I could be wrong because I haven't seen Final Chapter yet. I've seen them all except for that one. But no, I sound like I'm just jabbering. But this movie, of course, stars Milla Jovovich. I can't remember I think her name is Selena Guillory. And Omar Faraday. Uh, Forgive me if I'm butchering their names, but of course I'm gonna tag them in there and talk about their other movie credits. Excuse me, Mike Epps. And I can't remember the actor that played the main bad guy in here, or the paraplegic doctor, but they're both known actors. One from Australia, I think the other one's someone from Europe. I'm gonna talk about him again because he's in another movie that I have that I'm gonna review, and I liked him better in the other movie that I'm gonna review him in later on. I'm trying to think of who else is in here. And Also one of the other bad guys is that's gonna be in the next movie, but he appears at the end. I think his name is Ian Kane. Again, I know some of his credits, and I'm gonna talk about the first movie I seen him in, which is another video game film. Hopefully if I remember to. But pretty much, just like with the first movie, this movie borrows elements from the video game Resident Evil 2 and 3, mostly 3, because they teased that in the first movie, and of course, like I said, they borrowed some elements from 2, and the only game character that appeared in that one was Dr. Isaacs, which was played by Jason Isaacs. No, William Birkin, my bad. And William Birkin's the character, Dr. William Birkin's the character, and Jason Isaacs is the actor. And I was kind of disappointed because in the video games he plays a dominant role, and that appearance, and of course the actor just being there, it was only chipped out for like a small portion, and you never seen him again. you know um I'm assuming in the novels of the game they gave him possibly more to do, but the advancement of the T virus indirectly had was kind of hit on him and the Spencer family, and I think the Ashfords, which also, by the way, elements of Code Veronica are also in this game as well, with the Ashford family. But they don't talk about the whole different viruses that in the game they created. William Birkin with the G virus, and I think I can't remember what the T Veronica virus. Yeah, that's what it was in Code Veronica. Um, but the characters from the video more of the characters from the video game make appearances here. Jill Valentine does, and the Umbrella operatives, Carlos Oliveira and Nikolai. Also, the actor that plays Nikolai, he's a known somewhat B movie actor. If you've seen A Christmas Story, he was the kid, the redhead kid, that was messing with Ralphie. He's in this movie, and I think the other guy, Yuri, was also in the game as well. Um, and that was a nice little tip off. Of course, more of Raccoon City is shown, and the stars, team members, which is also another element from the video game, are all here. Stars is really more of an element that was from the first Resident Evil game, and it's been a name staple ever since. You don't see him again in 4 except for a costume reference with Leon, but for those first four, we had 3 games. You could say that 4 if you want to count Resident Evil Zero, but all those elements are there. Like the game, somewhat the change on here is that it's not claustrophobic anymore, but the environment is, a little bit more expansive, even though they had moments in the game where they made you feel claustrophobic even in the city environment. Um, but pretty much the story of this is Alice has to escape the city before they drop a nuke on Raccoon City because they can't contain the infection anymore. And pretty much most of the elements from Resident Evil 2 are the same. Kind of like with the comic book of The Walking Dead. There were certain things they had to do, then they eventually are gonna like veer when it gets to the third film, and it's gonna be mixed on about that because I'm gonna talk about someone else's zombie movie list that had said, let's just say, put that movie in a certain category. But going back to this, pretty much most of those elements from 2 and 3 are there, even with the nuking of Raccoon City. You know, this movie, it pretty much a lot of fans didn't like it. I really don't know why. I don't know if the story was weak. Well, actually, I do know one element, the reason why, because they push the video game characters as pretty much supporting characters, and they made Alice pretty much be the main show throughout pretty much all the movies. And mainly also because, the director, someone had made a joke saying, with Paul S. Anderson, no one can look hotter than his wife. And it's kind of funny because with Apocalypse, he did not direct this movie, but he did write it. And I guess so, if you write that your wife cannot die, I guess indirectly that is a stating that, yeah, that rule still applies. And, I have no reason with this new character, Alice, being a badass hero, but at the same time, at least let the other characters shine. There was many moments where they could have made them, you're on this team just like everybody else, a top-notch dog. But throughout every single film, most of those known main video game characters are treated like, B-list, or supporting characters pretty much. Um, but going back to the main story, there was some neat elements. Again, additionally, in this one, it was revealed that at the end of the first movie, Alice was injected with the T virus, but it didn't mutate her with the symptoms like anyone else. It actually bonded with her on a cellular level. And I think when it gets to the final chapter, it's going to really reveal the reason why, because I did kind of see a long time ago what the whole plot of the movie was. And I'm not going to spoil it, of course, because I'm going to watch it again and figure it out, why the T virus had bonded with her on a cellular level, but, didn't do it to anyone else. And the little girl in the film, too, I think her name was Angela, she also bonded with the virus. And I want to say it was for the same spoiler reason that I can't really say yet. But in this film, she had I don't know what that disease is called when you can't walk correctly, but you're on crutches a lot. And the father had created the virus. He had to make her stronger. But I'm assuming he created a virus that wasn't, the T virus. It was pretty much, if you play the game, the progenitor virus is pretty much the first prototype of the T virus that Wesker had that gave him all of his strengths. But it didn't make him a zombie or anything. And that's pretty much what the situation is, here, or at least I'm speculating, but we never really find out those answers because the little girl that's in this movie, Angela, she's only in it for this movie. And apparently, if you read the novels, I think when Jill gets brainwashed, she ends up killing her. And if you read the book, at least that's what the summary has said. And the thing is, again, it was very interesting, but it was pretty much a generic story. Them just trying to survive and get out of the city alive. And, they have a very brand new character. Excuse me, they had created for this film, which is played by Mike Epps, who's pretty much, of course, a comedy relief. If you see him in Friday and his other movies, he's always getting laughs, even in this one. In my theory, I think he's based off of a character from the game, who was cut uh from the first game, but they put him in another one called Dino Crisis, and he was based off of Eddie Murphy. He was supposed to be the comic relief. And if you go online and look up the original concept art for Resident Evil 1, they had a black character who was supposed to be a comedy relief, and he looked a lot like, Axel Foley. But again, they rolled him over to another game. Again, all the actors, they did a fair job of what they were dealt with. The actor that played Carlos Oliveira, he's a known action star. He's actually not Latino. He's from Israel, and he even played in The Mummy. He was Ardith, the who were the Magi, the ones that were protectors of not letting Imhotep out. And I'm glad they went to him on it, because he knows his weapon work, and he has some good action scenes, and he was believable. If they wanted to change his hair or do something to make him more Latino, whatever you want to call it, he looked like Carlos Oliveira. He pretty much how he was in the game was pretty much how you see him in the movie. And you know, it blows that what happens to him in the third movie, which I'm going to talk about. Uh, but in this one, another thing I forgot to mention in the first movie, because it does happen to his character when he gets bitten, there is a cure, for being bitten. And it was funny what happens to him, because he gets bitten twice in two different movies. Is in this one, and he gets bitten again and in Extinction. And it was kind of funny how I sat there and I thought about it. I was like, it's kind of funny how you get bitten twice, but the second time, yeah, it's inevitable. But I'm gonna talk about it when I get to the next one, so I have more to talk about. But another good thing about the movie, the soundtrack was pretty good. I loved, Kill Switch. This movie introduced me to Kill Switch, and also the first movie has some good alternative rock songs and metal songs. Marilyn Manson had did a piece, and I think Slipknot for the first one they did. I can't remember all the people who did the soundtrack for this one. Uh, but the main title song that's played at the end is very, very dope. Something that you can really rock to. And you know, it was a funny friend of mine that said they like Kill Switch a little bit more than they did Disturbed, and yeah, that was kind of funny because I like them both equally. I'm not one of those divisive people, that's just not in my nature, because I like to look at all perspectives and all styles and all this, that, and the other. But this movie was a very good time. Like I said, Mike Epps, he kept the laughter, the scenes that he was in going, especially when he says, GTA motherfucker, and he hits the zombies. And another funny connection is Grand Theft Auto's actually produced or distributed or published, I think something like that, by Capcom in Japan. And you know Resident Evil, Capcom, all that. And even at the very end of all their movies, they put Capcom's logo on there. And that was pretty dope. So it's kind of funny. I'm very curious to really know if people who saw the first movie or any of the rest of the movies, did they end up playing the video games at all. If they just like horror in general, or if they were just a casual watcher, then they end up playing the games. I'm just kind of curious. Indirectly, I did, for a different reason. It wasn't because of the movie. So, uh, but when I get to Resident Evil Extinction, I might talk about it a little bit, because Resident Evil 4 does kind of play in a little bit of some elements in Extinction. But that's pretty much all I have to say. Again, this is like a good popcorn flick to watch. Kick back if you want to get drunk. Have a good time. But other than that, I will see you in the next one, which is Resident Evil Extinction. So peace.